Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be going over version 0.5.4. And the first thing I want to talk about is the new map, which is called Utah, USA. So what's the best vehicle to drive on a brand new map? How about the brand new car, which is the Miramar. Now, I'll go into more detail about both the Miramar and Utah, USA in a future video, but right now I want to focus on how the camera works. So by default, we have the same camera we've always had. The one that's able to be positioned anywhere on the car, and then you could drive like that, and is not really that heavily locked to the vehicle, so you can kind of slide about like this pretty freely before the camera will adjust. But if we change the camera a few times, eventually we'll get to the new camera, which is the chase camera. Now this one is much more stringently locked on the vehicle, so you see as I'm kind of going left and right, the camera follows the vehicle more harshly than the orbit camera, which is the one that's what was in the game prior to this one. So going back to the chase camera, if I had to describe this camera very easily, I would just say it's kind of like an arcade camera is what it feels like to me. It just feels a lot more arcadey than the orbit one. And the left to right movements are just like that. Like if I tap just a tiny bit to look to that side, it does a full 90-degree tilt. If I go all the way, it still does a full 90-degree tilt. Up and down is kind of the same way, where it just locks to a specific position that's still related to the car. This is how it works when you crash. A little bit freaked out at those crashes, as you can see. So I would say if you're doing crazy crashes that flip yourself over, you're probably mostly going to be better off with the orbit camera most of the time, just because it's a little bit smoother on those crashes. Sometimes though, on a crash, you can get like some kind of like epic looking angles with the chase cam, and you don't have to actually do anything. But with the orbit camera, if you want one of those fancy angles, you actually have to work on it. Another change to the camera is the way it transitions from one camera angle to the next. So now if you hit the change camera button, it's a real smooth transition, like rotating from one camera to the next like this. Whoa, what in the world is that? I guess because the last time I was using that camera, it was upside down. The game was like, oh, the car's still upside down. Wait, no, it's not. I got to flip this thing over. That threw me off for a second. I didn't expect that. But what I was saying is one camera angle to the next, you see it's like actually a visible movement of the camera. It doesn't just teleport from one to the other. Before, it would just be like you hit the button, boom, you're at the next camera angle. Now you have that. And that's absolutely terrible for me for editing, because I guarantee every single time I changed the camera angle pretty much in previous videos, that was because I needed to edit something out. And it's really easy to just kind of set up the car in about the same position at about the same speed, and then just say switch camera angles like that, and nobody would be able to notice there was an edit. Now that takes away the ability to do those really easy edits, which is kind of unfortunate. Now, if I want to get a real seamless edit, I have to position the car exactly, and I have to make sure the tachometer is at the exact same RPM and it's hitting the right miles per hour. Like, it's a lot of work to get a smooth transition while moving, where previously it used to be super dirt easy because you would just change the camera angle. Anyways, we are once again upside down. Vehicle will still drive though, so let's try to get this thing upright somehow. This is not the way to really do it, but I guess it'll work. And I think if I change the camera to the chase, once again, the car should be upside down. So, upside down mode, engage! Oh, this is just wacky. It doesn't last for long because the game knows it's not supposed to do that, but every time it does, it's just kind of funny. Oh, I have a good idea. Down the road a bit, there should be a good place to kind of drive off the road, and that'd be like the perfect place to just do two back-to-back crashes to kind of compare how the orbit camera does the angles compared to the chase camera, because like there's a little cliff over there with some bumps and stuff. I think it'll work great, or it might not. I don't know, we'll see. I'm actually surprised this car's moving at 70 miles per hour for how much damage it has. Let's get some more damage onto it. There we go. Okay, not gonna drive, right? Wow, that's actually driving. It is an amazing vehicle. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the vehicle right here, reset it, and we'll start off with the chase camera, and all we're going to do is just hold the throttle to the floor and let whatever happens to the car happen. So I'm hoping we get like a lot of bumps and maybe even a flip in here to really let you see how the two compare. Perfect. It had lots of bumps and a flip. Now ideally, if I do the same thing with the other camera angle, it should do about the same path. Whether or not it actually does that, though, we'll have to just watch and find out, because sometimes it's not exactly consistent doing things like that. But as long as I get lots of bumps and a flip, I'm happy. didn't quite get lots of bumps because we already flipped over it. We did get a flip. And you can just see how different they are. And really, it's kind of a thing of preference. Like, I like having the real steady camera angle so you can really see what's going on with the car. But some of you guys might like the one that's locked to the car more just because it's easier to drive it 90% of the time if you're not crashing. I don't know. Feels like it's just preference. Anyways, let's see if we can flip the car over one more time because there's a new feature I wanted to talk about that you might have already noticed popping up a couple of times when we were upside down. And I wanted to flip the car over naturally, but if that doesn't work, well, we could always just grab the nodes and, well, it didn't want to flip, so I guess. Oh, engine starved of oil. Apparently, we have enough of a bad orientation where it happened. Normally, it usually happens when you, like, totally flip yourself over. But right there, we were at bad enough of an angle where the engine became starved of oil, which starts the oil temperature to overheat. And once that overheats enough, you know, engine starts to explode and stuff. So that's just a new feature. Another thing that's been improved a bit is the recovery mode. So now it doesn't have the, like, sometimes missing parts you'll get. And the longer you hold the button down, the faster it backtracks the steps. Another new feature are the soft brushes, which are kind of hard to explain but pretty easy to show off. So let me see if I can find one to demonstrate what a soft brush is. I think I see one right there with that bush. So watch what happens to our speed as we hit that bush. Do you notice how it significantly slowed us down, like we hit just a pile of mud or something right there? That's what a soft brush is. Prior to this, when you hit something, you either stopped immediately when you collided into it or you went right through it. Now with soft brushes, you have things like this where it just slows you down at lower speeds. And if you hit it at a higher speed, it will do damage to your car, but it does significantly less than if you were to hit a solid object like a tree, for example. So if we go into that, that's a tree. I thought that was a soft brush. That's a tree. So what I was trying to do right there was to crash into a soft brush at a speed high enough to actually cause some damage to the vehicle. Everybody knows if you crash into a tree at about 40 miles per hour, it'll cause some damage. But soft brushes, those are new. Not many people know exactly how those will work out. So we're going to try this again. We're just going to drive along the road right here until we see a bush, and then we'll try to slam into the bush. Actually, maybe even just drive on the dirt, and then there'll be a bush eventually. Like, there's a bush. So right there, we hit the bush with our front. You can kind of tell how the car got yanked to the side, and it spun us out, basically. And then we do have damage right here on the front of the vehicle, but it's a lot less significant than if we hit a tree at about 70-ish miles per hour that we were going. You know, right here, we just have some radiator damage, and I think the car is fully drivable. If you do a 70-mile-per-hour crash into a normal object, you'll be lucky if the car can drive much at all. Actually, this thing is a little bit worse off than I thought. It is pulling quite hard to the right. So let's just dump this thing off over here. And I haven't been talking about the vehicle itself too much. I know I wanted to cover all of the non-vehicle specific changes before I really got into the vehicles. And I'm almost done with those, actually. There's just a couple more things I want to mention. First, the soft brushes are present currently on this map and Jungle Rock Island only. The other maps do not have it, as far as I know. And then there's a new option in the options menu called competitive scenario mode, which basically makes scenarios the way they've been for a while. But if you disable competitive scenario mode, it gives you the ability to use any car in any scenario, which is really useful to me because let's say you have a scenario that is just a single lap around a racetrack, right? And you wanted to compare the speeds of multiple vehicles. Well, that's super easy then. You bring in the vehicle you want and you do a lap with the already made scenario. You don't have to hand time it or have an app or anything like that to time it. You just use the timers that are already built in the scenario, which sounds really, really simple and easy if you wanted to do something like that. And I really think that's a good change to have because there have been some scenarios where I wonder if I could do it with a different vehicle or whatever. And well, I haven't been able to try that because of the way these scenarios are or were set up prior to the addition of that button. I'm kind of curious, what happens if you try to grab the vehicle in chase mode? Does it work much at all? Like, I know grabbing it in orbit mode's kind of wacky. And, oh, grabbing it in chase mode is even more wacky. Ha! Just chaos right here, and let's just fling it into the air. I'm pretty sure, yeah, we've ruined this vehicle, and we're flying. We're gonna crash it. Oh, my voice just cracked. Oh, that's sad. Yeah, there's fire from my poor little Miramar. Okay, now let's talk about the Miramar a bit. This is a 1960s Japanese compact sedan. And it is, in fact, rear-wheel drive, but it doesn't really mean it's going to be that fast because, well, we just now hit 60 miles per hour, and on most roads, you're not going to be able to get this thing over 90 miles per hour. It is a basic car from the 60s. It's just in the 60s, you were much more likely to get a car that was rear-wheel drive than nowadays, where you're much more likely to get a car that is front-wheel drive when you're buying just a normal basic car. And I almost feel like we need just a little bit more driving with this camera, just so you can kind of get a feel for it. Like, it just feels so different to me. I don't know. Maybe eventually it'll grow on me, but for me, still, the Orbit Cam will reign supreme as of right now. So we'll do a couple more corners and then maybe one crash where we don't flip it over, and then we will move on. It's like when you're not sliding, it works perfectly fine, but when you start sliding, it just throws me off a little bit. Like, to me, it's kind of hard to know, like, how badly the car is sliding compared to the Orbit Cam, where it's really easy. All right, time to crash. A normal crash, and we still flipped over. I was just crashing into a wall, and I managed to flip the car over. I don't even know how I managed to do that. It's just the way I drive, I guess. So now let's go over the vehicle-specific changes. Now, every vehicle has had the radiator strengthened because people didn't like how weak they were in the previous update. Also, most vehicles now have the ability to have a tow hitch on them. Now, starting with the Barstow, that one really didn't have many changes to it. It has a new suspension design, but that's not something I can easily demonstrate to you. The Burnside also has a new suspension design, and it has the option to have a welded differential if you want it. The 200BX has a new skin, which you could take a look at on the drift version. It's called the Blaster skin, and we'll just get it in the color that it comes in so you can see what it looks like normally. So I think it looks pretty good there, and this is definitely a spot for the Orbit Cam, so we could do that real slow pan so you could see the skin in all of its detail. Okay, a little bit faster, that's too slow. So it's a pretty nice looking skin right there. And then I can show you what happens if you try to mess with the color just a little bit. So we'll go to the color. We'll say, how about we get it in green? And then it just kind of makes everything look green. Yeah, I guess that actually looks okay with green. Like if we do... Yeah, that looks all right. Oh, that looks good. When you can get the two tones separate, then it looks pretty decent. Like, that's an ugly color combination, but I like being able to see both of the separate tones. And maybe about there, too, it has like a fade to it. That actually looks real nice. I like that color. That is a legitimately nice looking color on the skin. And it's just fun to do this, seeing what colors work and what don't. Like another one where it was fading worked pretty good there. What if we had it as black-ish, so we go really low on the brightness, and that makes it a little too dark, not worth it. Bring the brightness back up a lot, and then just do a little bit of coloring here and there. That's the way you do it. You have a lot of color combinations that actually look good. Anyways, enough of playing with the skin. It's fun to do it, but it's pretty pointless. The 200BX actually has been modified in the way it drives for the drift version specifically. It's now supposedly easier to drift it and hold the drift, more importantly. Like before, you would kind of like slide and then, okay, I'm recovering. Now it's supposedly easier to hold the drift. Whether or not that's true, I really can't tell because I'm not a good drifter. Like, I tried them both back to back, the old version and this one. It's like, they feel pretty much the same to me because I suck at drifting. Here we go. Let's try to drift this corner right here. Here we go. Nope, 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 nope. That's, yeah, see, told you I suck at drifting. So, apparently, though, it's better. Anyways, next up is the ETK, and as far as I know, that's unchanged. Same goes for the Grand Marshal. The Corvette has some new lights on the Rally version, but you don't see them in the thumbnail because that's the same thumbnail they had previously. But if we grab the Rally version, you will see that it now has those extra lights right there. And one thing that's cool is those extra lights are brighter than just the normal lights. And I can demonstrate that real quickly by going to the environment, making it nighttime. We turn on the headlights with this one like that. That's how bright that looks, right? And then we'll spawn up another Corvette without the fancy lights, and then hopefully you'll be able to see the difference. So that's the regular lights. Okay. Those are the Rally ones. And it's not like a deceptive angle or anything, and that it's on the wall or anything like that. I did this on a flat wall before, and you could easily tell. The Rally lights are significantly brighter in here. It looks the same way. Like, the Rally lights just light things up. The other ones, not so much. I mean, they work as headlights, but the Rally lights are like, let there be light type of deal. So let's go ahead and make there be even more light by putting it back to daytime. And then we can keep going through the rest of the vehicles. The next one is the new modern Pessima. You know, I should probably just say the modern Pessima and then the old Pessima, or the new is the new. Because now both of the Pessimas are old enough where it's not like this model of the Pessima. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I should probably explain this. Well, this Pessima came out second. So it's like it's the new one because it came out just recently. But this one's the new one because it's the modern one, right? So I'm just going to start from now on saying, you know what, the new one is literally the more modern one, and then the old one is the older body style. Because now they've both been around long enough where most people don't even remember which car came first, probably. Anyways, back to what I was saying, no changes on this vehicle. The Miramar, well, that's a brand new vehicle, and as I said earlier, I'll cover that in a separate video along with this map. The Moonhawk, there were no significant changes to that I can recall. The old Pessima also has the rally lights just like the other Ibishu rally car. So you see that, and they work the same way where they light up even more than the normal lights. The Pigeon now has a slightly more powerful engine in the base form, but it's not too terribly noticeable. The Bullite has a new skin on the Group 4 version, and it's pretty similar in design, but if you put them side by side, you notice quite a few differences. Like the front nose cone is all a solid color. The logos on the side are black and more easy to read. The wing is red instead of green, and then that green swoopy area right here covers more of the side of the car, like up around here, than it did previously. Then now we're going to move to the D series, which actually has quite a few additions to it. We have a new version, the D25s, which are like the 3/4 ton version of the truck. Basically, it's the medium strength, medium duty version. You know, before you just had the kind of half-ton version and then the 1-ton version. Now you have the half-ton, 3/4 ton, 1-ton type deal. Another thing that the truck has that's new is a new skin or a new paint design. So it's the camo. You can go and put that on, and by default, it's going to look a little wacky. I found the best way to have the camo set up is you increase the brightness all the way, and then you increase the chrominess all the way over there. And then it looks like a real legit kind of camo design. You can kind of have it as a brighter color by increasing the chrominess, which looks all right. Or if you wanted to, you can try to mix some like green in there sometimes, which looks all right. But for the most part, I think it just looks best either as default, or actually with blue almost looks like just a black and white camo. That looks actually pretty decent. But then if you start adding red, I don't know, that just looks a little weird. Like, what are you trying to blend in with? The desert? Actually, the desert's more of a yellow, huh? Like that right there. Yeah, that blends in kind of decently-ish with the environment, sort of. Yeah, but it's a new color. That looks actually pretty cool on it, doesn't it? Let's keep that one. So we got that. We have a new actual thing that's available on some versions of it, the bull bars, which you can get on the D35 Pig version. So there are the bull bars right there. And those are also available on the Roamer if you get a fire chief or police version. So you can see what those look like on that one. Or you could get them on the Vanster if you get the police version of that. We can grab that, show you that one. And it seems to be all pretty much the same design of bull bar, just on different vehicles. Actually, I did that so fast you might not even be able to see it. Okay, now you've seen it. So now we're going to go back to the D series. And there's another new piece that's not used by any vehicle, but the Sport does have a new piece on it that I could talk about first. It has that little front lip right there. Nothing too big. And then another not too big piece that it has available to you is if you go to the hood, you can add a hood accessory, the bug shield. It's just a little lip right there that protects the windshield from bugs to some extent, maybe. Like, I've never had on one of those on a car, so I really have no idea how functional they truly are. And then there are some new wheels you can get on the vehicle. There's some fancy off-road wheels that aren't even used on the off-road one, ironically enough. I believe they are 6 lugs. So we'll go ahead and grab 6 lug front wheels that are the Trial 1000s. So that's what they look like right there. You can get real close to them. You can kind of see the details in them. Pretty nice looking wheels, I think. And then the strength of the D15's frame has been reduced a bit. Oh, and the suspension has been improved or reworked. Both, basically. And then for the Roamer, you also have the skin available. You have an improved suspension, you have the bull bars as I already said, and then you have the same wheels we currently are driving on the front of this truck. Let's go ahead and crash in that tunnel right there. That looks like a good place to crash. You thought I was going to crash on the left side. No, we're going to the right side. Alright. I don't know if that really demonstrates how the D15 is weaker at all, but there's a crash anyways. Next up is the T-Series, and the T-Series has a few changes to it. The flatbed, cargo box, and cement mixer version all have a new set of wheels on the front you could take a look at right there. That's new. Looks pretty similar to the old ones, but it is a new design. Then the suspension has been improved on these a lot. The stiffness of the accessories on the cab, like the horns and the lights and stuff, have been improved. And there is a bunch of turbocharger options on the truck, so you could have a T300, T350, or T400 turbocharger. And basically each one of those adds about like 50 horsepower to the previous one. And it's by default, basically, as you're going through the list, you get more powerful versions of the truck. So the first one is like a T300, next one's T350, next one's also T350, and then the next one and all the ones after that are all the T400. So right now I'm driving the most powerful version of the truck. It's not like it's some crazy, super overpowered version. It's still a normal truck in terms of performance. So next up is the H series, and it had some improved suspension and some improvements to the doors of the cargo box version. And then we could also talk about the vehicle that's not really a vehicle. The metal box has the ability to be a lot of different weights now. So now you could get a metal box that is 1,000 kilograms, and you could drop that on a vehicle and do some pretty serious damage. Not even that high up. We drop it and splat, doing a good deal of damage to that truck. Oh, I forgot about that car. Yeah, lots of damage though. I mean, 1,000 kilograms, that's probably getting close to the weight of a Corvette. It still has a few hundred kilograms on it, but it's getting close to it, and it did a pretty good amount of damage. We could drop it again, see what it does for the second hit. Actually, it hit in a way where it deflected off of it and didn't do that much damage. How lucky for the truck. Anyways, that about covers all of the changes in this version. Bonus summary picture, because I can. I don't know, I just like having something where it's like all the things all in one. And I have two of the same car. What was I thinking? I'm an idiot. I was not supposed to have two of the same car. Oh my goodness, I did it wrong. Maybe if I, if I have like an angle like this, it's like you can't even tell, huh? What do you mean there's two of the blaster skins? No, there's not. You're crazy. Oh wait, you can kind of see it there. How about there? How about, yeah, you can't see that, can you? Yes, you can. Who am I kidding? Yeah, but we'll just get rid of this one. Shoo! As I was saying. There, like it's like a summary. Beautiful, isn't it? I don't know. Anyways, because this outro has gone on for so long, how can I make it go on longer? Do something with the like button. I don't really care what you do with it, just do something. Don't do anything with the dislike button though, unless you accidentally hit it, then unhit it. Yeah, that's totally what you're supposed to do. You're never supposed to actually hit the dislike button. Although this video is pretty boring because I'm just reading off of a list, basically. It's like, how do you make that entertaining? You don't. Like, you don't make that entertaining. You can't. Like, it's like, unless you want it to last forever because you're trying to stuff in jokes where they don't belong, or you try to make the last 5 minutes that nobody's gonna watch kind of entertaining, which is almost what I'm doing right here, but it's still not really entertaining because I'm just screwing around, which is not really entertaining at all. Come on, go car. Okay, I guess I've had this long enough. Oh wait, I know what else I could say to make it go longer. I could say I have something to say. And then I could also say you should subscribe or something, but nobody who actually watches the video all this way through wouldn't be a subscriber because you'd be crazy to watch a video all the way through. That's so boring unless you were already subscribed, basically. Anyways, that's it now for real. And it's been so long since I said my last outro, let's say another one. Till next time, this has been WhyBeAre, I'll see ya. You thought the video was over by now. Ha! You were wrong. I was thinking about trying to edit this in, but I've already basically edited the video at this point, and then I realized, oh no, I forgot to mention something. On the bottom left corner of the screen, the little mini-map, that's on by default. Like, it's been in the game for a while, but now, when you just start up the game, it's there by default. That's all. So, but we have one last outro. Until the next outro, this has been WhyBeAre. I'll see ya.